Hello everyone, hope all is well. Alright, so as you can see in the lower heading there, it says mandates are not laws. And they're not. Now I can understand why someone in their mind might hear the word, well, this is mandated or this is mandatory. You would naturally come to the conclusion that that means, well, I have to do this, which would then lead you to think, and therefore it's law. But it's not. Mandates are essentially proposals. And like any proposal put forth, it means literally nothing until the person who it is proposed to agrees to the proposal. Essentially, it's a contract. So if I put out a mandate, it doesn't become a contract until you agree to it. And that's why they're using terms like mandate rather than law. So let me take you to Black's Law Dictionary. I'm going to use the 8th edition, and it's the definition of mandate. And I think it will help you understand what a mandate really actually is. And I'm going to repeat this just like it says in the heading. Mandates are not laws. So let's go there. Here we are in Black's Law Dictionary, 8th edition, page 3049 out of the 4,994 pages of legal definitions. And the definition of mandate is a written command, we're going to start right here, a written command given by a principal to an agent, so potentially an employer to an employee, a commission or contract, because that's what a mandate is, not a law, it's a contract by which one person, the mandator, potentially the employer, requests someone, the mandatory, potentially the employee, to perform some service without obligation to do so. Why do I say that? Because they're saying gratuitously. That's why. Done unnecessarily. That's what this means. Do we want to know that for sure? Absolutely. So let's go to the definition of gratuitous right here in the Black's Law Dictionary, 8th edition. And so here we are, still in Black's Law Dictionary, 8th edition, page 2058. The definition of gratuitous. Done or performed without obligation to do so. Let me repeat that. Done or performed without obligation to do so. Without it. Let's go to my quick favorite. Done unnecessarily. I'm going to repeat that. Done unnecessarily. Now let's plug that into the definition of mandate. Okay, so now that I have verified that that's what gratuitously means, let's read this again. It's a contract by which the employer potentially requests the employee potentially to perform some service done unnecessarily, without obligation to do so. The commission, the contract, becoming effective only when the mandatory, the employee, agrees. So, this contract is dead in the water, means nothing. This mandate means nothing until the employee, the mandatory, agrees to it, and agrees to it without obligation to do so. Let's continue. In this type of contract, because I'm going to repeat that, that's what this is, it's not a law, no liability is created until the service requested has begun. That basically means there is no liability because there is no contract until the mandatory employee potentially begins that service that was requested. But now there is liability, and I'm going to suggest strongly, because you did this unnecessarily without obligation to do so, that liability is going to rest upon you, the mandatory, the employee, because you agreed to do it without obligation to do so. Let's continue. We're going to take it from here, a contract. A contract, and I'm going to highlight this again because they keep telling you it's a contract, not a law, by which one person, the principal, confers authority on another person, the mandatory. That would potentially be you if you're the employee, to transact one or more affairs for the principal, potentially the employer. The contract of mandate. It can't be made more clear that this is not a law, but in fact is a contract that requires your consent and your agreement. Without it, the mandate means nothing. The contract of mandate may be either onerous or without obligation to do so, gratuitous. It is gratuitous. This is very important. It is gratuitous if the parties do not state otherwise. So if no other terms are mentioned on this contract of mandate, then you're doing it for free, unnecessarily, without obligation to do so, and with no perks to you whatsoever. I think we're clear. A mandate is a contract, not a law. And it is a contract that requires your consent. You have to agree. But once you do, you need to understand this. Best as I can tell, because this defaults to a gratuitous status, you don't state otherwise, that liability has now started once you agree to do it and you've performed the request. And best as I can tell, that liability will now rest upon you if something goes wrong. Mandate, not a law. So, I've informed you to the best of my ability as, no, not a lawyer, but as a Canadian citizen that cares about people who are being coerced. And if there might be any of you out there saying, you're being irresponsible, Shade, you should be just telling people to get the stabby jabby. Well, guess what? I disagree, because I know who the victim is. The victim is the one who's being coerced and or forced into doing something they do not want to do, specifically when it has to do with things that are put in their person. So I know who the victim is. And if you don't, then you're the one that needs to wake up and smell the coffee. The one who's doing the coercing is the guilty person. And I'm called, in my faith, to stand in the gap and do whatever it is that I can to help those who are being attacked. I hope this does help that person who is being coerced. And if you happen to be one of those who are doing the coercing, I hope this helps you to stop. In the meantime, thank you for listening. Grace and peace.